Welcome AP Calculus students to another day of reviewing for the AP Calculus exam. This video is going to be the first part of a three-part series of videos that I'm planning to do in order to show you guys just how to use graphing calculators on the AP Calculus exam. More specifically, today we're going to be covering exactly how you find an integral using a calculator. Now, I say one of three videos because I'm splitting this up into each video is going to cover a different type of calculator. So the first calculator that we're going to cover today are the ones that I instructed you guys to hopefully have picked up from Lakeview, those Ti-Nspire calculators. I don't know how many of you guys managed to get one. Hopefully, I know at least I know one person did manage to get one. So I'm going to show you guys some instructions on how to find integrals using the Ti-Nspire calculator. And more specifically, we're going to be revisiting one of the free response questions that we worked on a few lessons ago, not too long ago. More specifically, we're going to be looking at this one right here, the 2019 AP Calculus AB number 2. That is one we're going to be looking at. So we're going to be revisiting that one. The one we already worked on this one. So we're just going to revisit the work that we did and just show you how you would get those same answers on this calculator here. So as you can see on screen here, I have basically like a virtual version of the calculator from TI. So I'm going to go step by step and show you how you would do more specifically part C. We're going to be looking at part C, that problem, how you would get those answers from part C using the Ti-Nspire calculator that hopefully some of you were able to pick up. All right, so right off the bat, as soon as you press the on button on this calculator, this is the screen that you should get. Okay, so this is the screen that you should see in front of you. Now, we can get into the more like specific things, but right off the bat, I'm just going to click on the calculate option here that you have on the home screen just to calculate. So I'm just going to make sure that's highlighted. I'm just going to press enter. And this will take you to this screen right here. So this is just a basic calculator screen that you would be accustomed to seeing for those who have like TI-83s, TI-84s. This is the screen that you would be getting by default. Okay. So if you recall from that question, we had the first thing we were tasked to do, we were tasked to finding when does this function at least 60 meters per hour. So when does this function at least 60 meters per hour? And if you recall in the video that I recorded, I showed you guys using an app on the iPad how to do that. So we did it by graphing it. Okay, so we're trying to find when this velocity is greater than, sorry, it hasn't loaded yet, greater than or equal to 60. So you can quickly choose by just scrolling, just using this, you can quickly just scroll up and pick this calculator option in the top of your screen. So you want to click that. I'm going to click that. So now this is what your screen should look like. This is what your screen should look like. So now we're going to input that equation. We're going to input that equation, that V sub Q equation. So let's do that. So let's see, it was 45. So 45, the square root of t. Remember, since we're graphing it, you do want to change that to an x. We're going to rewrite that as the square root of x. So you can see the square root is right on top of the x squared button here. So the square root, so you want to press Control x squared. So that gives you the square root. So square root of x. And now you want to make sure to get out of this square root. To get out of the square root, you want to press right once. So now we're outside of the square root. If you do not press right, you would still be inside this square root. So now we got cosine. Now the cosine functions are all found if you press this trig button here that you can see. So press the trig button and then cosine. So cosine 0.063 and then x squared. Once again, we want to keep this in terms of x. So x squared. All right, so there we go. So x squared, and bam, we have our function that we want to graph. Now, if you want to graph it, you should be able to just press enter, and it should give you a graph. Now, at the same time, if you recall, what we also did is we also graphed 60. We graphed 60 because we want to see we basically want to see where that graph gets above that y equals 60 line. So we're trying to figure out where does that graph go above that y equals 60 line. So let's do that as well. Okay, so let's also graph that y equals 61. All right, so let's see. You should be able to. All right. Nope. All right, so there you go. It looks like if you just click, well, actually, let me show you just to make sure we're clear on how to do that. Okay, press enter. Looks like if you just click twice, whoops. If you just click twice, it brings back the equation menu so you can input another equation. So this one is just going to be 60, and we're going to press enter. Now, obviously, we can't see where that line is. So once again, if we just click twice again, there we go. If we click twice, now we can scroll up to see our two equations. So our first equation is in blue. Our second equation is in red. Now we can't see the second equation, so we're going to have to customize this window a little bit. So what you want to do is you want to press menu. You want to press menu, and then you want to scroll down. I'm trying to use the button so that you know. You're going to scroll down to zoom. Press the middle button for zoom, and then we're going to do zoom box, or specifically zoom box. Okay, so the second option, zoom box. Actually, not zoom box. Sorry, that's not the one that I wanted. Let me go back. We go back to menu, window zoom, and let me see. Window settings. I apologize. We want to do the first option, window settings. That way we can customize it. So we're going to keep the X-min, X-max the same. We're going to change the Y-min and Y-max. So let's scroll down to Y-min and Y-max. So we're going to make the Y-min, we'll keep the Y-min the same, but let's change the Y-max to, let's change it to 80. Because once again, we graphed the Y equals 60 line, so we want above that. We want above 60. So let's do that. Let's press enter now. Press enter. So there you go. That gives us a much better image of both graphs, the original V sub Q graph and the Y equals 60 graph. All right, so now at this point, we still haven't gotten out of, let me escape out of there. So now at this point, what we want to do is we want to figure out what the intersection points of these two graphs are. So the way we're going to do it is we're going to press menu, and then we're going to go to actions. I'm sorry, not actions, analyze graph. So the sixth option, analyze graph. Press enter on that. And then there's going to be an intersection option. So you want to pick that intersection option. Okay, so lower bound. So this is basically just telling us around what area is that intersection. Around what area is that intersection. So you want to put the lower bound to the left of that first intersection. So I'm going to put it around here. And then the upper bound, you want to put it to the right of that intersection. So around here. So it looks like our first intersection is 1.87. Now let's make sure that's a little bit more accurate. So let's zoom in a little bit into there. So press menu again. Then you're going to scroll down to window zoom. Press that center button. And then we want to zoom in this time. So that third option, press that center button. And now we want to center it around here. I'm going to center it around that area right there. Let's do it even more. Do it even more. All right, that should be good. So now press escape to get out of that. Then I'm going to move this a little bit. Move that a little bit. Which you can do by simply, if you press and hold, let me see. If you press and hold, this center console is, the center button is touchscreen, so you can just use your finger to move around the cursor on your calculator. Obviously on the computer it's a lot easier. All right, so I'll make sure here. Nope, don't want that. I want to make sure here that this is exactly, want a certain number of decimals here. So I'm just going to go to menu and go to settings really quickly. Press that center button. Okay, here you go. Display digits. You want to make sure you have an appropriate number of decimals, especially on the AP exam. So if you set it to auto, so I went to menu settings auto. See if this, okay, excellent. So now we have the appropriate amount of decimals, and that was our answer that we got. 1.866 is our first intersection point. So if I just check it out right here, 1.866. So we got that. Now to find the other one, we just have to repeat those steps again. So to find that other intersection point, we just have to repeat those steps again. So let's do that. Go back to menu, analyze graph, center button, or you can always press enter instead of pressing the center button. You can always press enter. And then we go back to intersection. You can do a lot of things, as you can see here. You can find zeros, minimums, maximums, intersections, inflection points, derivatives, integrals. You can do a bunch of stuff here. Okay. Whoops. Whoa, nope. What was it? Analyze graph, center button, intersection, press enter. All right. So this time we want our lower bound to be to the left of that second intersection. So there you go. So 3.519, which is once again the answer that we got. So that was just a quick overview of how you would have gotten those two t values, 1.866 and 3.519. So let's get into actually how we find the integral. Now you'll see this is going to be really easy. So let's go back to here. So you want to scroll up to here. Or another way you could do it is you should be able to just press Control left, and it gets you back to your calculator section. Okay, so Control right goes to your graph, Control left goes to your calculator. Or you can just move up, you can just move your cursor up here by just using this center D-pad and just scroll up here and just press that center button. Okay, so let's do that integral. Let's quickly do that integral. So we have our two interval values for our integral. So you'll see doing integral is actually really easy on this calculator. So what you want to do first is you want to go to menu. And you want to go to, conveniently enough, the calculus section. So let's press enter there, calculus section. And we're going to go to the integral. So we want to evaluate the integral. So press enter. Darn it. Calculus. Enter. I'm going to scroll down to integral. Okay. So as you can see, immediately an integral pops up. So we can put our interval, which was, what was it, 1.866. So 1.866. Scroll up there. 3.519, 3.519. So there you go. So really easy. Now you want to press right. So now here we're going to put our equation. Excuse me. We're going to put our equation, which was, let me scroll back to there. Okay, there's our equation. So it was 45, and then the square root, remember, is control x squared, gives us a square root. Now this time we can leave it as t. We can leave it as t. You can write it as x if you want to, but I'm actually going to go with the t this time around. So now we got a t. So there you go. Remember, press right. If you don't press right, that cursor will stay inside the square root. And then we got the cosine. Remember, press that trig button. The cosine of 0.063 t squared. 0.063 t squared. And then finally, we got to make sure it's dt. Got to make sure those. And here you do want to make sure those variables match up. So if you did change this to square root of x and x squared, you do have to make sure this is dx. Since I left it as square root of t and t squared, I could write it as dt. But once again, you do got to make sure those variables do match up. Otherwise, the calculator is not going to be able to calculate it. Now, it looks like I forgot something. I forgot to put that that absolute value bar. Since we were doing the distance traveled, remember that means you do have to do the absolute value. Let's see if I can do it. Do I have to do that whole thing over? Let's see. Hope not. The absolute value should be, where are you, absolute value? I think it should be second equals. No, I don't think so. It's not that one. Where are you, absolute value? I forgot where the absolute value bar is. Is this it? Ooh. Sorry about that. Let's see. Let's try that again. No, I don't think it's this. Let's see. What is this? No, I don't think that's it. Oh, here it is. I think it's this one, if I remember correctly. Nope, don't want to control. No. Okay, let's see. There it is. Okay, so you have to press this button right by the number 9. If you press the button right by the number 9, you'll see the absolute value bars. Now, unfortunately, let's see. If I click on it, Gosh darn it. That's okay. So I just have to type it in again. Delete. All right, that's okay. Just delete this. Got that absolute value bar. Delete that. Delete. Unless, I don't think there's a, no, I think so. Okay. Okay. We'll do it over. So 45, control X squared. I got that T, trig, nope. Cosine 0.063 T squared. Okay. Now we just have to press enter, and it gives us our answer of 106.109. So that's how you would input an integral using this Ti-Nspire. As you can see, it's not very tricky. Obviously, you do want to be a little bit more quick at it, so probably do just make sure you know where all the layouts are where the integral button is. So once again, just to recap, you want to press menu, scroll down to calculus, press enter, scroll down to integral, press enter again, and here it's pretty straightforward. This space is your bottom limit of your interval. The top space is your top limit of your interval. This space is for your function expression, and this space is just what you're integrating in terms of. So we were integrating in terms of t, so that's how we would do it. Okay, so that was basically it for the Ti-Nspire. So in part 2, I'll go over some of the Ti-83 and Ti-84s, how you would do it using that calculator. It is slightly different, but you'll see it's actually not too bad. It's just slightly different, but it's also very similar to this one. So that is how you would evaluate an integral using a Ti-Nspire. I hope this is clear, everybody. Always make sure to let me know if something is not. Otherwise, always feel free to let me know if you have any questions related to this. Let me make sure here. Otherwise, I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope you guys are staying healthy, and I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your days. See you later.